I want it all. Life for the famous, rich beyond my wildest dreams. I'm so shameless. Promised I wouldn't let it go once I grabbed it, but now I want more, and I'ma have it.
Hey, what's up? LockEmUp Hoops podcast. I am Realistic Randy with MasterMin and BoldBarry. We're here talking all things NBA. And speaking of which, the free agency period is about to open July 1st. It's going to open up tomorrow. The Kevin Durant sweepstakes will officially be underway. There's a couple other big names, too, that's out there in free agency. But obviously, Kevin Durant is the big fish of this year's offseason. Where will he go? And according to reports out there, it's actually been confirmed. Kevin Durant, he's going to meet with 6 teams, the OKC Thunder, Warriors, Spurs, Heat, Celtics, and Clippers. Mastermind, take your pick, man. What do you make of this whole Kevin Durant sweepstakes? Where do you think he'll end up?
So this whole sweepstakes of Kevin Durant, we know that he saw what the Carmelo Anthonys and the LeBron James did, with the red carpet effects. And so, he's one of the best players in the league, so why not him either? But I think he's playing with a lot of these teams too. So I'm only really taking 2 teams, maybe 3 teams in consideration. I'm exiting out the Celtics right now. I don't think he's going to go there. I'm going to exit out the Clippers, because if he goes to the Clippers, that means you would have to trade Blake Griffin, and you're just playing with Chris Paul, so I just don't see that working. And then you have Golden State Warriors. Now, I think that could be a possibility, but the only thing about that is that you have to get rid of a lot of your nucleus, which was Andre Iguodala. I'm hearing that they're going to let go Andrew Bogut anyway. You're going to have to let Harrison Barnes go, and Livingston too. There's a lot of things that don't match up, because you have Draymond Green's contract where he just signed a $90 million contract. You have Klay Thompson, who signed a $70 million deal, and you have Steph, who's going to sign. I think his contract ends up in 2 years. So that's just too many max contracts right there alone. So I just don't see how that works in the future. Along with, listen, why would you go to the Warriors? The Warriors clearly don't need you. They won a championship last year. I'm going to call that an asterisk right now, because you know why Kyrie wasn't there. And then you have a Klay Thompson, and you have Draymond Green. It just doesn't work. There's just too many superstars, and we won't take Kevin Durant seriously if he decides to go to that team. So I just think that's on his mind too. I don't think he really, he wants to be one of these greats. So why go to a team like that that's already established? So there could be a strong possibility if he wants the championship, go there. And then you have the Spurs, where you have LaMarcus Aldridge and you have Kawhi Leonard. That's a strong consideration as well. But like I mentioned with the Warriors, the cap space, you have Kawhi Leonard, who has he has a max contract, and you have LaMarcus Aldridge, who has a max contract. So you would probably have to get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge, and then you're just stuck with Kawhi and Kevin Durant. And it's the same position. I don't see Kevin Durant playing the power forward position all season. Maybe in the playoffs, when you play your best roster and they get the most minutes, maybe that could work. But I just don't see that working through the season. I don't see that working at all. And then now you end up back with OKC, who has their first meeting on Friday. Why leave that team? Why leave that situation? OKC loves you. You have a top 5 player in Russell Westbrook, who probably thinks he's better than you. That's the only competition. That's the only, negative effect about that situation still. But I think they can get it done. They were up 3-1. Those 2 guys choked. Sam Presti is one of the best GMs in this league. He fills that roster up with talent each and every year. So he has nothing to do with why they lost this year. So he does his job. They just traded Oladipo, traded for Oladipo, and got rid of Ibaka, and they were able to fill in that Ibaka's position with Enes Kanter. And then they have the Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis' son, who's pretty good as too. And so you have that team alone is already the top 2 seeding in the league. So I just don't see why you would leave that situation where you were up 3-1, 1 game away from the NBA Finals. So why leave that situation and go to one of these other teams where they clearly don't need you? They've won championships without you, so you need to stay put and build your own legacy. So I'm counting out all these teams, really, like I said, besides Warriors and Spurs. But other than that, I just see him signing that 1-year deal, what he'll probably do. So, the cap will go up next year. I think it goes up 20%. So he'll gain they're saying he can gain an extra $100 million just from next year. So he'd be smart to take the 1 year and sign 5 years. But my only concern is that we're going to go through the same thing again this year if he only signs that 1 year. And I just don't want to hear another Kevin Durant sweepstakes where we clearly know he's going to end up signing back again and doing this whole 6 teams meeting thing again. So I think he's staying. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's an OKC Thunder for life, in my opinion, unless maybe, when he's 37, he decides to go somewhere else or gets traded. But in his prime, he's staying in OKC. That's my take on Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant staying in OKC. What's up, BoldBarry?
I'm glad you kind of touched on my suitors, my final 3.5, because as far as KD goes, I mean, it's really gonna boil down to like three, 4 teams. It's gonna boil down to, like you said, the Thunder, Golden State, Spurs, and me just being a homer, I'm just gonna call out Boston. And that's just for many reasons within itself. But we also just kind of failed in the draft, and we didn't make any trades or do anything so far to get anything attractive for Kevin Durant to even remotely want to sign here. So I still have to wait and see with that. So that's a big question mark in my book. But I'm gonna go a little different route as far as almost guaranteeing the Thunder going there. I'm looking at it like this. I mean, the guy's been in OKC for 7 years now.
I think he's been in the league 9 years.
9 years? It's been 9, damn.
I think it's been
Time
like
flies.
9 years. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I'm looking at it like this. 7 to 9 years. Let's just say 9, right? He's been in the league. He blew a 3-1 lead recently. In the Western Conference Finals. Like, you were this close to being in the finals. You haven't been in the finals in about 5 years. Granted that injuries and other things came in between, and you also just, you guys are just disoriented. This was your best shot to be able to see an NBA Finals, in my opinion. I mean, when you lose a 3-1 lead like that, and it's the same thing as the Warriors, you're coming back as a different team next year. Like, that move was a good move, but it could be a panic move as far as like how the locker room goes. It's like being like, we need to keep KD, we need to give him more score options. So we'll see how that plays out later on down the line. But I would say he's loyal. He's loyal, and if he's gonna stay, like that would show you that he's absolutely loyal. He won't go anywhere. But let's not sleep on Golden State. He might take the LeBron James way this time around and go sign like a 3-year deal, with Golden State. Unfortunately, I don't want to see that happening personally, because then that would just make the West I think it might make the West a little lopsided. Almost as how LeBron went and made the big 3 out in the East. It might make the West a little lopsided. As crazy as that sounds, it might make that West a little lopsided. And then going to the Spurs, I think that would be a good choice and a bad choice, mainly because he's gonna go play, like you said, with LaMarcus Aldridge if he's still there, and obviously you have to make the the trades and all that. And then the lineup would be Kawhi Leonard and him, and they both play the same position. I don't see Kawhi playing the 2. I just don't see it.
It's
And I don't
he
right.
Can lock somebody up, but,
Right, he can lock somebody up, but I just don't see him playing the 2.
Yeah.
And then I don't see KD as you said playing the 4. So I mean, this is a big question mark for me as far as where he may land, because as you mentioned, I think he has those meetings with a few teams. Miami Heat completely out of the books unless they want to trade their whole team, and then he's just playing with a possible old Wade, and if Chris Bosh can stay healthy. Like there's a lot of question marks for Miami, so I'm completely ruling them out, as well as LA, and I know it's Hollywood and everything. New York intrigues me a little bit because
they didn't even get a meeting.
Huh?
They didn't get a meeting.
Why are we talking about
They didn't get a meeting. They didn't get a meeting, but he has the meeting with San Antonio and New York. So don't be surprised if they may pop up with anything with that. But I'm not counting him in. He did say he was intrigued by it. That means nothing. I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. But he was intrigued by the New York idea. But to sum it down, I'm really gonna bring it down to those teams that I just mentioned, which was Golden State, Spurs, and obviously the Thunder, and Boston, just with that slight glimmer of hope. I'm enjoying this remixed version of the decision with Kevin Durant here. I mean, I don't want to see him do the 1-year deal, with OKC. I mean, it's most likely going to happen. I don't want to see it. I've also read that he may be possibly looking for that long-term type deal. So that could rule out the Thunder. The Thunder in that play. It all depends on how the money works and what he really wants. Because I questioned this with Melo last year when he was a free agent, or a couple of years back when he was a free agent. It's money or it's winning, and it's all about what you want to do at that point. And whatever he does this summer will tell me exactly where his mindset is at in the game of basketball. So I honestly personally don't think that OKC is you don't want to just do a long-term deal there. I mean, you've been there for 9 years and you just can't. You lost it. You let it slip away. That was your best ray of hope. So I'll chime in.
Let me start with the Heat. They have absolutely no chance. They can't even figure out if Dwayne Wade's going to be there next year. You know, they're having a little bit of a rift. Hassan Whiteside's probably going to go. You don't know if Chris Bosh is even going to be healthy. And Goran Dragic, he didn't do all that great in the playoffs. Dwayne Wade was actually pretty damn good in these Eastern Conference playoffs.
Gordy balled in the playoffs, man.
He did his thing.
Had a couple of good games.
They lost to the Raptors.
But they have no they have no chance of getting Kevin Durant, especially with Dwayne Wade possibly, you know, leaving and saying. Brian Windhorst reported saying that he is, quote, preparing to field outside offers when free agency opens on Friday. So
what was the name? Windhorst? Him?
Windhorst, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, your boy Brian Windhorst.
That man.
As far as the Celtics, I'm sorry, BoldBarry, they have absolutely no chance. They don't have a chance in hell. They had their chance on draft night to make something happen. And look, and people see, here's the thing that gets to me, and we've been having these little battles on Twitter with different people and everything like that. And now I'm learning to stop. I'm learning to just stop, you know, because no matter what, everyone's going to come at us and be like, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. For everyone out here that's saying, well, oh, so what, they should have sold the farm for Jimmy Butler. Look, if you don't have an offer that you don't like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But at least if you're going to end up with that pick, you might as well make the best pick available. And all they got was another athletic dude, who could be good, but you had other options to address.
With Paul Pierce.
Yeah, you need scoring. Isaiah Thomas is the only dude that you know can get you a shot you can design a play for, and he'll execute it. You guys, BoldBarry, Mastermind, you were at what, game 3 against the Atlanta Hawks, or game 4, and then overtime. And I don't know if Isaiah took it to overtime or if he won it in overtime with that layup you guys recorded that he had. So that's the only guy that you have. Like, you could have got Chris Dunn, you could have got Buddy Hield, somebody, but you know, you got basically a project in Jaylen Brown, a more athletic Jake Crowder, so to speak. So I don't see if Kevin Durant goes to Boston, then bless his heart, because he's going to set himself up. He's a good man, because you had the chance, like you said, Mastermind. You were not down. You were up 3-1. You were right there. You should have won that Game 7 to take it to the NBA Finals, but it is what it is. Why would you leave that group, that nucleus? Plus, you got Oladipo now, and you got Ilyasova, and you got Sabonis. You got these players there. Why would you leave that for Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, who's not bad, Jay Crowder, Jerebko, Amir Johnson?
That guy's getting you over the hump.
Now they're talking about possibly Boston people are writing, oh, they should go get Taj Gibson. Like, really? You're going to leave OKC for that? And as far as the Spurs, I don't. Yeah, that's not happening. It's not happening at all. The Celtics and here's another thing I want to touch on. All those draft picks, if you guys remember, he got those draft picks from the Brooklyn Nets. He even got a couple from us for the Rondo trade, but specifically from the Nets. He got it from the Nets for the players that he got from Kevin McHale, essentially, right? As far as Kevin Garnett, you had Paul Pierce. Okay, you already had him, but that whole package of Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, I don't know why the Nets would give all that up anyway at the end of their primes like that.
At that age,
but they did it. Though. But you got those players. I mean, those draft picks from those players, and you had the opportunity to turn their draft picks that you got for them into something, and you didn't. All from Kevin McHale. So you don't have his help now. As far as the Spurs, I don't really see it. Like you guys said, I don't see how that would work. Tim Duncan, they say he may look into retirement. I see them possibly getting Pau Gasol more likely than that.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Clippers, I think that would be the most exciting. I wish that would happen, in my opinion. I would love to see a team of Chris Paul, J.J. Redick, Kevin Durant, a much more athletic and explosive Serge Ibaka and Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. I would love to personally see that.
That won't work. You got to get rid of one of them.
Second round.
I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice if Blake Griffin would allow himself to just be the crash the board dude. But if he doesn't, then send him out of there. Then send him out of there.
Triple doubles, man. I don't want to be that way.
And as far as the Warriors, I don't look. The Warriors, I get it. If you want to get Kevin Durant and if he agrees to come to the Warriors, then do it. But the Warriors have all sorts of problems. Their number one problem is a center. Anderson Varejao And Festus Ezeli and these NBA Finals were a complete disaster. They were a dumpster fire to the highest order. They both looked like Anderson Varejao looked like he was more interested in flopping, and Festus Ezeli looked like the moment was just too big for him. They need to focus all their efforts on Hassan Whiteside, somebody that can get boards and put back shots for when the Splash Brothers aren't making shots. So I don't know what to make of it. OKC, they have the best shot, but I'm not even going to say, oh, he's definitely going to go there, because you're basically saying Russell Westbrook, you have to trust him that he's going to stay. And you're right. He doesn't want to do the 1 year and then possibly go through free agency again. Chris Broussard said that on ESPN. But the problem is, you can say that now in good faith, like, oh, I'm here for the long haul. I'm just going to do the 1 year, then the max. But what if that 1 year doesn't go so well? What if you get ticked off? What if Russell Westbrook suddenly leaves in free agency next year? So I don't know what's going to happen.
They don't even make the Western Conference Finals next year.
I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can say is the Celtics have absolutely no chance. Bless his heart if he decides to go there, but it was a complete waste of time, and I don't know what to make of it. So that's my take.
Can I just add one more thing about KD's frenzy right now? A lot of GMs I read in one of these articles today, a lot of GMs are honestly feeling that, like you also stated, that he's just really playing games and just,
he knows he is
fiddling and playing games. Like most GMs out there are saying he'll probably sign that 1 year deal, and we'll go through this and we'll be talking about this again next year.
That's my thing. Like we all know he's not taking half these teams seriously. It's just because they have the cap space and he wants that. He wants that attention. That LeBron thing.
CBS. Yeah, I tweeted a picture out to these Homer Boston dudes. They're like, oh yeah, well Kevin Durant, at least he's meeting with us. And I'm like, I tweeted a picture from CBS where it was reported that Kevin Durant wanted the red carpet treatment. Like he's made that very clear.
Oh, it is.
So
let me just ask Boston fans this too. When the last time we really signed a marquee free agent? I understand that there's been cap issues and everything like that because we just pay these unnecessary dudes the money when we do have the space. So I just want to know. That's a question for people out there, for the comments, whatever.
And
when's the last time that happened?
And especially, we're coming at the Boston fans right now because let's be realistic here. Is he going to play with Jay Crowder? Evan Turner.
Avery Bradley.
Isaiah Thomas is a nice piece, but I'm pretty sure he's like, all right, I got Russell Westbrook over here in my locker room, so why am I going to switch locker rooms to play with? Like, let's be real. Understand you have Brad Stevens and you have cap space, but let's be real. He's not coming to Boston. Stop that.
You got to sign another attractive free agent for that to even remotely happen, and I don't know what's really going to happen out there as far as us not being an attractive spot, because I really feel that way, honestly, but we'll see.
Everyone talks about cap space too. It's always cap space. Look at the cap space we got. Oh, we could do this and that. It doesn't matter. Tons of teams have cap space. The Lakers have had cap space forever. The Knicks have had cap space many different times. It doesn't matter. Cap space, that doesn't matter. Everybody's got it. So I'm tired of everybody saying, oh, cap space. None of that stuff matters. Dallas, we have had cap space forever now, and nothing's happened. So I'm done with this idea that, well, we got cap space, so I guess we could just sign everybody. Kevin Durant, there's no way in hell that he's leaving that situation, and his team just got better overnight from that draft. Why would you leave that to go to the Boston Celtics? Everybody, bless everyone out there that's putting in all the effort they can to write these articles saying, oh, this is why Kevin Durant. It's great. It's great, but it's not happening. Not happening.
I'm a realistic Boston Celtics fan. I just know when you shouldn't be saying these absurd things. That's all I'm saying.
So big picture, Mastermind and BoldBarry says OKC. I said I don't know. It's just going to stress me out trying to think of a destination, but we'll see, man. Free agency opens up tomorrow. We'll see. Speaking up free agency again, we're going to talk about other top tier free agents and the different players that interest us. Lock 'em up, hoops. Realistic Randy with Mastermind and BoldBarry.
I want it all. Life for the famous, rich beyond my wildest dreams. I'm so shameless. Promised I wouldn't let it go once I grabbed it, but now I want more, and I'ma have it. Champagne dreaming, campaign teaming, so much.